I have one last Band of Brothers question here. Do you have any more questions? This is the end all be all right here.
Not so much questions as requests.
All right. Well, let's hear the requests then.
Because we do need our guest Michael to give a couple shout outs, hellos to the people in the chat room, specifically the ladies who call themselves the Cudlitz.
The Cudlitz?
Yeah.
Yes.
We have.
They're huge fans of yours, as well as the group of ladies that call themselves the Band of Sisters. They're paying attention and listening to you, and they would love it if you could give them a quick shout out. And I also have Julia, who wanted you to know that you are indeed a great actor and also her favorite.
Ooh.
Yes. So there's a lot of fans out there. Okay.
I've never heard of the Cudlitz. I think this is something that was made up this morning, but thank you. What do you say to that? And the Band of Sisters, is that are those the actual? Do you know if they're actual Easy Company daughters? Because it could very well be.
I believe it's the fandom, like they're Band of Brothers fans. And they're females, so they're calling themselves Band of Sisters. For example, I know Laura had mentioned that she's such a huge Band of Brothers fan, she has the 101st flag hanging on her wall.
Wow.
So we have like diehard fans who are calling themselves Band of Sisters.
Well, all right, Cudlitz, that's awesome. I'm glad you exist. And the Band of Sisters, what can I say? That's phenomenal. Follow me on Twitter. If your questions were not asked and you have something you want to ask, whether it be Band of Brothers or career or Southland related, I know that in the UK, Southland is right in the middle of its run right now. I think you guys are on episode 4 or 5. So please, at Cudlitz on Twitter, Cudlitz. Any questions, anything, visit. There's a Facebook page for Southland. There's a Facebook page for Band of Brothers. If any of this has inspired you to kind of just know more about the guys, just check out those sites, and you'll be surprised at the information and the connections you can make.
The chat room is going bonkers because they're all like, say my name, say my name.
Thank you, Julie. You're a sweetheart. Tom, we love you. Cynthia, you are the best. Frank, you are a rock. Tom, tell your dad he's awesome. Brian, we thank you for your father's service.
Don't forget Bonnie and Jenny and China.
How could I forget Bonnie and Jenny and China? That was the most amazing weekend I spent in my life.
Yeah, and Megan. She was also there, but she held the camera.
Megan said we were never going to talk about that. You tell me you're not going to say anything, and then you come on the radio and you say something. Wow, Megan. Acid Marshmallow, I think you have some identity issues.
All right, now I know that we've sucked up like a whole afternoon of your time, on and off the air, and on and off and on and off. So I don't want to take any more of it that we actually absolutely have to. But I have one final question.
Yes.
How would you sum up the heroes you played, the real men of Easy Company?
It's always a tough question, that one.
Well, it's because you kind of find yourself almost falling into cliches. But all these cliches were basically formed out of these men and the women who did what they did back home while these men were overseas. Not because they did not want to be overseas, but because a lot of them were not sent overseas. Some were, but a lot of them and most of them were kept over here. So, regarding the women, I think those men actually lived the idea that most of us have of what it is to be an American. And I mean that, I would say that as the idea of, the idea that the rest of the world, that in places where they are fighting for democracy, and places where they are fighting for the right to live a life on your own terms, those are the men who actually lived that description, and I think that's who we picture when we think when you say what is it to be an American. when we are in our at our best. Because we all know that we're not always at our best, but that I think as well is a learning curve. So, yeah, that's a tricky question.
Well, I think you've answered it better than most. Thank you.
Now get the hell off your show.
No. You know, if it was up to me, I would just play a song and we'd come back and keep talking.
Shane Taylor was here for 3 hours.
Yeah.
As soon as Shane said, "Hey, I got a song I want you to play," we played the song, and then I played a commercial break, and then 2 more songs, because just as soon as I played that song, he started asking me questions, and so I had to okay, and I go, "Wait a minute, guys, we're still talking to Shane," and we came back out of it for another 40 minutes.
Which begs the question:
awesome.
Is he always the last to leave at parties too?
He was at this last barbecue, but because he had never been before, or he'd only been to one prior, and they had flown in specifically for it, so they weren't going to leave. They weren't going to leave early. They came out to see everybody, and they definitely got their barbecue dollars worth.
Who's consistently always drunk and in your spare bedroom?
Nobody's actually had to spend the night, but there's a small core group of us that wind up closing the place down, and it usually consists of Frank John Hughes, myself, and then a lot of the ladies. Well, a lot of the ladies that everybody doesn't know, people who were behind the scenes in helping produce the show. Terry and Amy and Jennifer, and some of the PR people that we met with HBO afterwards. There's just a whole bunch of really cool people associated with the project. There's only one person who's not cool, and he's one of the writers, and everyone out there who's listening to this, who knows me, who knows him, is cringing right now because I actually think that I'm going to say his name, and I'm not going to. And the jackass knows who he is, and that's all that needs to be said about it.
That was like a Christian Bale moment. I thought we were going to get
I was gonna say, I'm gonna start reading the writers, and when we get to his name, I'll hear the in-suck of breath.
I have more class than that, and
good for you.
My point is that it is probably a group of 300 people, and 99.9% of them are amazing.
Mm-hmm. Did you hear Ross McCall's impression of you, Michael?
His impression of me? No.
He said he annoys you at the barbecue. He comes up and stands beside you, and
I heard all that. No. Ross's favorite thing to do is whenever somebody does any sort of whether it be Irish, English, Scottish, Welsh, any kind of accent, he'll say, "What is that? Japanese?" There's no doing his Scottish accent, to his liking. As if people are joking around with him, he's like, "What is that? What is that? Japanese? Is that French? What are you doing?" So, yes. And that being said, Ross, my wife just walked through at some point, and she said, "Can you just make a recording of that guy's voice so I can listen to him talk all night long?"
See, Ross. Yeah, about you.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, you have that accent. Every girl is sticky because of it.
Yep.
Yeah, not the girls that live in the town that he grew up in, though.
No, not hometown girls.
I would do really well there.
Yeah, we need to have an accent exchange program.
Exactly.
I'll take on the twins and the wife for a week.
Yeah, of course you'll have to drink Buckfast, which apparently is like drinking battery acid mixed with Kool-Aid. So
the bill can handle it.
It's all good. As long as I get my whiskey, I'm good.